News, Fox 13 live in Cordova, where federal agents have been searching a house.
Property records show it belongs to the family of Memphis rapper Pooh Shiesty. Fox 13's Jeremy Pierre is joining us live out there. We understand that people were awakened by flashbangs earlier this morning.
Yeah, and they heard the FBI and TBI screaming, basically going into the house saying that this is the FBI, and you can see right behind me those FBI agents still.
A federal raid hit a home directly tied to Pooh Shiesty's inner circle, and almost immediately it raised more questions than answers, because this didn't feel random, it felt precise. And the deeper this situation is examined, the more it begins connecting to a narrative that was never officially confirmed, but never fully disappeared either. A story involving Gucci Mane, missing jewelry, in a moment that may have carried more weight than anyone realized at the time. Federal agents moving in, vehicles being opened, inspected, documented, multiple units on site, not just local authorities, but federal presence. And that alone changes everything, because federal action doesn't typically respond to noise, it responds to information. Early reports described this as a search tied to a residence, but one detail quietly shifted the focus: the property itself. According to records, the home is listed under the name Lantrell Williams. On the surface, that might not seem significant, but the connection is where things change. Lantrell Williams isn't just a name, it directly ties back to Pooh Shiesty, his father, Lantrell Williams Sr., and Pooh Shiesty himself, legally Lantrell Williams Jr. This wasn't just proximity, this was direct linkage. And in situations like this, that distinction matters, because once a location is tied directly to identity, every action taken there carries a different weight. This stops being about a place and starts becoming about a person. And when that happens, the past has a way of catching up to the present.
They list this home being owned by Lantrell Williams. Now get this, Lantrell Williams is also Pooh Shiesty's name. So his father's name is Lantrell Williams Sr. and his name, Pooh Shiesty's name, Lantrell Williams Jr. We do know that the rapper Pooh Shiesty.
To understand why this situation feels bigger than it appears, you have to go back, but not to something officially documented, to something that lived in conversations, speculation, and industry whispers, a narrative involving Gucci Mane, and an incident that many described is more than just business tension. According to circulating discussions, there was a moment in a studio setting where things escalated beyond music, not contracts, not deals, something more personal. Respect, loyalty, and unresolved tension tied to past situations. And while no official statement ever confirmed what followed, one detail continued to surface: jewelry missing, unaccounted for, and surrounded by speculation suggesting that what happened may not have been random, but intentional.
Pooh Shiesty is no longer signed in 1017, and Gucci Mane no longer has his wedding ring and no longer has his watch. But Gucci, you can holler at me. I can get it back for you, bruh. Other than that, man, it is what it is. Breaking news, breaking news, breaking news. Believe me, don't believe me, but y'all know when I break down street shit like this, I'm never wrong.
Now this is where the narrative shifts, because on its own, that story sounds like speculation. But when a federal raid enters the picture, targeting a location directly tied to the same circle, it stops feeling isolated. People don't see two separate situations anymore. They connect them, and once that connection forms, it becomes difficult to ignore. What looked like coincidence starts to feel like a pattern. In the music industry, not everything plays out in public. Some conflicts stay behind the scenes, handled quietly, resolved without headlines. But there's another layer that rarely gets discussed: influence. Because when high-level figures are involved, the line between coincidence and coordination becomes less clear. No direct evidence confirms any involvement, but the timing, the connections, and the history create a narrative that feels calculated, even if it isn't proven.
The FBI and TBI is screaming, basically going into the house saying that this is the FBI. And you can see right behind me those FBI agents still on the scene. Not only FBI, but TBI as well. Now, check this out. We've been out here for a little while now, and we have seen these agents tagging the vehicles. It's about 4 vehicles, 1 inside of the garage and 3 others in the driveway here. They at one point, they had all of the trunks of these vehicles open. And you can see, I believe that's a silver BMW they have there with the trunk still open, and they're still tagging and taking pictures. We have seen a few of those agents go in and out of the home so far this morning. We have not seen anyone taken out of the home. Of course, that's something we're working to gather information on as to if anyone has been taken into custody. But again, we do know that the Shelby County Assessor's Office, according to their website, they list this home being owned by Lontrell Williams. Now get this, Lontrell Williams is also Pooh Shiesty's name.
And then there's another perspective entirely, one that removes speculation and replaces it with pattern recognition. According to Charleston White, this situation may not be connected to Gucci Mane or missing jewelry at all. Instead, he points towards something more predictable, a cycle. He highlights that many individuals returning from prison face a system that doesn't reset. It monitors, it pressures, and over time it pulls people back in. His argument is simple. Outcomes like this aren't always triggered by one moment, but by a sequence that builds over time.
You say you gotta say about Pooh Shiesty. Man, I know getting out of jail. That got to try to catch up. Man, we've been out here living like a man. Where Pooh at? Man, out of probation office. 2 more years before he can be free. He can't drink. He can't ship that syrup right now. Them people gonna be on his ass. Tell me about no. I don't throw jail party. I throw high school graduation party. Getting out of jail, I don't even speak to him. Barely want to shake his hand. Because get what the statistics say. The statistics say 85 to 90% of them go back in 5 years. Bring his name up to me in 5 years. Now, once he beat that 5-year threshold that white boy got in place for them convict inmates returning back to society, then you bring that ass up to me. But don't bring no ass fresh out of jail. He ain't even been out 48 hours. He ain't even seen the probation officer yet. When tell me what his parole stipulation is, the do's and the can'ts and the won'ts and the don'ts, then bring his name back up to me. In 24 months, let's peek in at him again. In 5 years, let's see if his ass go back in. But right now, all that hoorah and caca and so on, you can miss me. I done seen all them get out.
At this point, the situation splits into 2 completely different narratives. One suggests that this raid could be tied to something deeper, something unresolved involving Gucci Mane and past events. The other suggests this was never about one incident at all, but about a system that eventually catches up regardless of what came before. And when both narratives exist at the same time, the truth becomes harder to define. Because when federal action enters the picture, it doesn't just examine the present, it looks at the past, every connection, every interaction, every unresolved detail. And if there was ever a moment that carried more weight than it seemed at the time, this is where it comes back. Which brings everything back to one central possibility. What if that earlier situation involving Gucci Mane wasn't just an isolated moment? What if it was a trigger point, a moment that quietly set something else in motion, behind the scenes, until it reached a point where action became unavoidable? No confirmation proves that, but the pattern raises the question anyway. Because in this industry, not everything is visible. Some things develop over time, and sometimes what looks like a sudden event is actually the result of something that started long before anyone noticed. So now the situation stands at a crossroads: a federal raid, a history of speculation, a narrative involving missing jewelry, and a completely different perspective suggesting this outcome was always going to happen. Each explanation leads to a different conclusion. Each conclusion changes how this entire situation is understood. So the real question isn't just what happened, it's why it happened. Was this raid connected to that unresolved story involving Gucci Mane? Or was Charleston White right that none of this is surprising and the outcome was already set in motion long before now? Because depending on which one is true, this isn't just a raid, it's either the result of a hidden conflict or the confirmation of a pattern no one escapes. And right now, the truth still hasn't been confirmed.